Most of us imagine life as a race, with medals waiting at the finish line and a crowd cheering when we arrive. Yet the truth is more sobering. Not everyone who runs crosses the line as a victor. If you look closely, you will see that most stumble, most stop, most turn aside long before the end. Failure is not born in a single day, nor does it suddenly appear like a storm that catches us unaware. It grows slowly, quietly, often in places hidden from the eyes of others. Long before a man loses his business, his family, or his dream, he has already surrendered something deep within himself. He has already whispered in the secret corners of his heart, "This is too hard, I cannot endure." That whisper becomes a seed, and like all seeds, it grows. It is nourished by neglect, watered by excuses, and given sunlight by fear. Soon, what began as a quiet concession inside the heart becomes visible to the world outside. A crumbled spirit cannot long disguise itself, for what is hidden within always breaks through. Think of the student who gives up before the examination, not because he is incapable of learning, but because he convinces himself that the task is too great. Or the athlete who slows his stride before the finish line, not because his body cannot carry him, but because his mind has already told him he will not win. Failure is rarely about ability, it is nearly always about belief. A man defeated in his thoughts cannot be victorious in his deeds. This is why the battlefield of success is not first fought in the marketplace, the classroom, or the arena, but in the unseen territory of the human heart. We often blame circumstances for our losses, but circumstances are merely mirrors reflecting the condition of our inner world. If there is discipline, vision, and courage within, no obstacle without can fully conquer us. But if fear, doubt, and resignation have already taken root, then even the smallest resistance can bring us down. It is not the weight of the mountain that crushes us. It is the weakness within our will that collapses under its shadow. 90% of people fail because they never guard their hearts against this silent erosion of belief. They let small compromises slide, small excuses fester, until eventually they are no longer strong enough to face what life demands. The tragedy is that this process is almost invisible while it happens. From the outside, people may still smile, still speak of ambition, still pretend they are trying. But in truth, they have already withdrawn their strength from the fight. Outward failure is merely the delayed revelation of an inward surrender. When a ship sinks, it is not the waves outside that destroy it, but the water that seeps inside. So it is with men and women. It is not the world's difficulty that defeats them, but their unguarded hearts that let discouragement flood in. Yet the same truth that condemns also liberates. If failure begins in the heart, then so too does victory. A man who refuses to surrender inwardly cannot be overcome outwardly. He may stumble, he may bleed, he may wait longer than he wished, but as long as he keeps faith alive within, success remains possible. Every great triumph begins not with wealth, nor with talent, but with a spirit that refuses to bow. History is full of people whose circumstances predicted failure, but whose hearts refused it. They rose not because the path was easy, but because they would not accept defeat in their souls. This is why guarding the heart is the first discipline of those who win. They speak truth to themselves when the world speaks lies. They stir courage when fear whispers its poison. They remind themselves daily of the vision that drives them, even when evidence seems scarce. Where the 90 choose to let discouragement linger, the 10 cast it out and strengthen their resolve. Where the 90 bend to fear, the 10 bend their knees only to faith. And so the secret is revealed. Success is not first a matter of circumstances, but of inner condition. The heart that refuses failure will, in time, make even the hardest road bend toward victory. Comfort is perhaps the most deceiving of all enemies, because it does not arrive with threats or violence. It comes quietly, offering peace, safety, and ease. It whispers, "Rest a little longer, you deserve it. Avoid the struggle, for what good is pain?" And because its voice is soft, many do not recognize its danger until it has already robbed them of their strength. Greatness does not fall because of sudden disaster. It is usually stolen by the gradual weight of comfort, which persuades us to stop climbing long before we have reached the summit. Consider the man who dreams of building something extraordinary. In the beginning, his vision burns brightly. He rises early, he works late, he endures setbacks with determination. But then, little by little, he tastes the sweetness of ease. A small success brings him enough to relax, enough to enjoy what he has. Slowly, the fire fades. He tells himself that he will continue tomorrow, that he has earned a pause today. Yet tomorrow never comes. Comfort has wrapped its chains around him, and though they are soft, they are stronger than iron. His dream does not die in a blaze of failure. It withers quietly under the weight of indulgence. This is why 90% of people never reach greatness. It is not because they lack talent, nor because opportunity never came their way. It is because when comfort beckoned, they listened. They chose the couch over the challenge, security over sacrifice, ease over endurance. The few who win understand that comfort is not a friend but a foe disguised as kindness. They see that every time comfort offers rest, it is asking them to surrender growth. Every time it tempts them with safety, it is luring them away from courage. Every time it whispers that enough has been done, it is stealing the possibility of more. Greatness is never found in the arms of ease. It is forged in struggle, carved out of sacrifice, and sustained by perseverance. The strongest steel is shaped by fire, not by warmth. The most enduring trees are those that have stood against storm, not those sheltered forever in gentle weather. Men and women who rise above the 90 are those who willingly step into the storm, who choose the fire, who understand that ease may soothe, but it never strengthens. There is nothing inherently wrong with rest. Even the strongest must pause to regain strength, but rest is meant to refresh, not to replace the battle. Comfort becomes an enemy when it ceases to be a moment of restoration and instead becomes a way of life. A man who stops at the inn for a night's sleep is wise. A man who decides to live there forever will never reach the mountain he set out to climb. Comfort, therefore, must always be handled with suspicion. One can drink from it, but never dwell in it. Those who achieve greatness understand this distinction. They are not people who never feel the pull of ease. They feel it as strongly as anyone. But they refuse to let it rule them. They rise when others remain seated. They labor when others quit. They embrace the discomfort of discipline, the pain of sacrifice, the uncertainty of risk, because they know that comfort's promise of safety is far too costly. It costs the future, and so the choice is always before us. We can join the 90 who surrender their destiny in exchange for ease, or we can endure the discomfort that shapes greatness. The path of greatness is narrow not because it is hidden, but because so few are willing to leave comfort behind. Comfort is not a gentle companion. It is the silent thief that robs men of their crown. Only those who see through its disguise will ever stand among the 10 who win. When people look at those who rise to greatness, they often whisper to themselves, "They must be gifted. They must have been born with something I do not have." It is a convenient belief because it allows the ordinary person to excuse their own surrender. If success belongs only to the naturally talented, then failure is not their fault. It was destiny. But this is a lie that comforts the many and cripples their future. The truth is harsher, but also far more hopeful. The difference is not talent, but tenacity. Talent is overrated because it dazzles us in the beginning. A gifted student learns quickly. A skilled athlete runs faster. A natural leader commands attention with ease. At first glance, it appears they are destined for victory. But talent is like a spark. It can ignite quickly, yet it burns out just as fast if it is not fed. Tenacity, on the other hand, is the steady flame that refuses to die. It endures the wind, the storm, and the long night. Tenacity is the one quality that turns ordinary people into extraordinary achievers, while talent without it collapses under the weight of time. Think of the 90% who fail. Many of them begin with talent, some even more than the 10 who succeed. But they grow weary when the journey becomes long, when results do not appear as quickly as they hoped. Their natural ability, impressive at first, cannot carry them through hardship. They expect doors to open easily, and when they do not, they quit. Talent deceives them into thinking the path will always be smooth. Tenacity tells the truth. The path will be rough, but you must keep walking. Consider a mountain. Talent is like speed. It allows you to run swiftly at the base, but the higher you climb, the less speed matters. What counts is the willingness to keep going when your lungs burn, when your legs shake, when every part of you screams to turn back. This is where the 90 fall away, but the 10 continue, not because they are stronger by nature, but because they refuse to stop. They lean into the pain and use it as proof that they are still alive, still climbing, still pressing toward the summit. History offers endless examples. Many of the most celebrated inventors, writers, leaders, and reformers were not considered the most brilliant of their age. Some were mocked, overlooked, or even dismissed as fools. Yet they possessed something their critics lacked, a stubbornness that would not let them quit. They were beaten down, but they rose again. They were denied, but they knocked louder. They were laughed at, but they turned the laughter into fuel. Talent may have given them a beginning, but tenacity gave them a destiny. The tragedy is that people admire tenacity only after it has succeeded. Before victory, the tenacious are often called stubborn, unrealistic, or even reckless. The world celebrates talent because it looks impressive, but it doubts persistence because it looks ordinary. Yet greatness is born in the ordinary choice to rise again after falling, the ordinary decision to try one more time, the ordinary refusal to let go of a vision. These ordinary acts, repeated daily, create extraordinary lives. This is the dividing line between the 90 and the 10. The 90 rely on what they already have, believing talent alone will carry them. The 10 rely on what they can become, believing that persistence will carve a path where none seems to exist. Talent may open the first door, but tenacity keeps you walking through every door that follows. Without it, even the most gifted will fall short. With it, even the least gifted can climb higher than anyone expected. And so the challenge is clear. Do not envy talent, for it fades without effort. Envy instead the man who refuses to quit, for he has already won. The future belongs not to the clever, not to the quick, not to the gifted, but to the stubborn hearts who cling to their vision when all others let go. Vision is fragile. It begins as a spark, a quiet picture in the mind of what could be. At first it feels unstoppable, almost indestructible, filling the heart with energy and hope. But the world has a way of testing vision. Delay stretches longer than expected. Obstacles rise taller than imagined. The voices of others question whether it was ever possible at all. Slowly, doubt creeps in, and if a person does not guard their vision, it will wither under the weight of discouragement. This is why faith is not optional. It is the shield that protects vision from being stolen. The 90 who fail do not always fail because their dreams were small. Often, their dreams were as grand as the 10 who succeed. The difference is that they allowed fear, criticism, or hardship to erode what they once believed in. They let the vision slip through their fingers because they lacked the faith to hold it when everything around them told them to let go. It is easy to protect a dream when it is young and exciting. It is far harder to protect it when progress is slow, when others mock, when results seem invisible. Yet this is the true test: whether one can cling to the vision with unshakable faith, even when the evidence appears to be against them. Faith does not mean ignoring reality. It means refusing to let reality be the final word. A farmer plants seeds in barren soil. To the eye, nothing happens for weeks, perhaps months. But faith tells him that life is stirring beneath the ground, unseen but real. So he continues watering, continues waiting, continues believing, until the first green shoots break through. In the same way, vision must be guarded by faith during the silent seasons of life. When nothing seems to be happening, when the ground looks empty, faith whispers, "Do not stop, growth is coming." Those who win are not always the strongest, the smartest, or the most gifted. They are the ones who refuse to surrender their vision to despair. They rise each day and act as though the dream is possible, even when feelings argue otherwise. Their faith becomes a wall around their vision, protecting it from the arrows of doubt and the storms of delay. And over time, what once seemed impossible begins to take form. The vision that could have died becomes a reality simply because it was guarded long enough to grow. The 90 fail because they hand their vision over to fear. They let the opinions of others determine what is possible. They give more weight to temporary setbacks than to eternal principles. They forget that every great achievement has always looked impossible until it was done. The 10, however, build their lives around faith, not blind optimism, but a steady conviction that the unseen is just as real as the seen. They feed their vision with prayer, discipline, and perseverance, refusing to let it be strangled by doubt. To guard a vision with faith is not a one-time act. It is a daily choice. It means speaking life when others speak death. It means standing when others sit. It means returning to the dream again and again, polishing it, strengthening it, reminding yourself of its worth. The world will always test your vision, but only you can decide whether to let it die or let it live. And here lies the secret. Faith does not only protect vision, it strengthens it. A dream carried through storms becomes sturdier than one carried through sunshine alone. By the time the vision is fulfilled, it has been refined by struggle and proved by endurance. This is why the 10 who win not only achieve more, but stand taller, because they know what it cost to guard their vision when everything fought against it.